Welcome, welcome, folks who are just coming in from the waiting room. Apologies for a bit of a delay. We've had some technical challenges tonight. Um, we thank you for being here. My name is Andrea Patton. I am the Chief of Staff for the City of Boston's Disabilities Commission, and I'm so delighted that you all are joining us for the latest in our Wednesday webinar series for National Disability Employment Awareness Month. Today's topic is financial empowerment. We know that employment is not just about finding a job. It can be about so much more. And the city of Boston knows that there's so much more than just getting a paycheck that feeds into the financial wellness and empowerment that you and your families deserve. So that's today's topic. Since we did get started a bit late, I'm going to cut my introduction short and hand it right over to a fantastic colleague from the City of Boston's Center for Working Families. Antonia, please take it away.
Hello, thank you so much, Andrea, for having me. I am the outreach coordinator here at the Center for Working Families. We do financial literacy education. My name is Antonia Benson. Definitely feel free to ask me any questions that come up. I will start sharing my screen, but we're happy to be here. Excellent. Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Yes, so I'm the outreach coordinator here at the Center for Working Families, where we do a bunch of services around financial education. We offer, among many things, financial coaching. We have 4 financial coaches, which you'll hear more about in further slides. We work in tandem with Boston Tax Help Coalition, with Bank on Boston, and also with Boston Saves that is not mentioned here. And our mission is to support Boston families through financial empowerment, economic stability, and asset building tools. And also forgive me, let me know if I'm moving a little too fast. Our free coaching program is really our bread and butter. We are trying to make sure that people can get access to education that has been either historically barred for them or just simply out of the reach of their access. We have 4 full-time coaches, 2 of which are bilingual, one in English and Spanish, and the other in English and Haitian Creole. I am the full-time outreach coordinator, and we also have our executive director, Alan Gentle. It depends on why a client is really coming to us when you're looking at what the setup would be for appointments, but usually clients meet with us 3 to 4 times in the first 3 to 4 months. So it can be anywhere from that first and second meeting taking that first month. And then if a goal needs a lot of upkeep, a lot of check-in with your coach, you could be meeting with them bi-weekly, you could be meeting with them once a month, you can be meeting with them bi-monthly. Again, really however you need to lean on us for services, we're there for you. In typical years, we've served 12,000, and 450 of those individuals tend to be full-time coaching clients. The requisite 11,550 come to us through our computer lab, through our VITA tax help site is the big one for those numbers. During the tax season, through the Boston Tax Help Coalition, we serve constituents and make sure that if they're making for this year $70K or less, that they get access to free tax preparation services. Very proud of that. And we also like to include a picture of a house here because one of our greatest successes is getting individuals into their first time home. I believe in our last fiscal year 2025, we had successfully gotten 8 families into Suffolk County, which is huge if you know what the housing market is doing right now. And then in the fiscal year 2026, we currently have 2 families that have just gotten into their first time home that we're very happy to say is the case. And we are financial coaches, right? We're not financial advisors, we're financial coaches. And what that includes is education around budgeting, saving, credit building, debt management, and home buyer readiness. We also do a worker empowerment suite. So our workshops, we have resume and cover letter writing strategies, as well as interviewing skills. And then we actually help with job search, I would say, not job placement. We cannot guarantee you in a job, but we can definitely guarantee help in the search and making sure you're getting access to job boards that you might not have heard of, and making sure that you are presenting your assets and your worker skills to the best of your ability. We also do income support on occasion, depending on the time of year and what grants are looking like. We have some incentives like gift cards, $25, $100 gift cards, they do happen. And then connections to other city resources. Because we are in the worker empowerment cabinet, we obviously have access to other city programs, other city worker development programs, other city grants, things like that. So definitely happy to warm hand off anyone who needs services that are outside of our scope. Does family also include individuals living alone? Great question, Betty. So even though we were recently rebranded to the Center for Working Families, we were previously named the Roxbury Center for Financial Development. The Center for Working Families took on that name to just assert that we are a center for working people and working communities and people who need access to capital and are curious about how to get it. And if you happen to be a family of self or a family of four, we can help you. Okay, so just even more affirmation around what financial coaching and credit building is, as opposed to what people tend to confuse us with, which is financial advisor. Financial coaches, we can definitely help you increase your financial well-being, improve your money management skills. If you have big time purchases on the horizon, like a car or like a house, we can definitely help you get there. Increasing credit score is big, building wealth is big, job retention is big. And just an example for how we can help you get there specifically around credit, your coach would monitor with you what your credit score was when you entered our center. We'd set up a goal tracker with you, help you achieve those goals, look back at another soft pull credit, so a credit pull that doesn't affect your credit score, and then see how much it's increased during a certain period of time, usually anywhere from 8 to 12 months. And clients with us have increased their score by 30 points, 60 points. It really depends on how long and how aggressively they're fighting their debt. So here at the center, like I said, you can definitely work one-on-one with one of our financial coaches. We can help you identify your short and long-term goals, help you create that budget plan you've always wanted to create. And then also we can connect you to other financial resources that might be out of the scope of our offerings. And if you need any help when it comes to getting into job spaces, definitely resume, cover letter, and interview workshops we offer monthly are at your disposal. With other various workshops, we do a budgeting basics, we do a credit building, and we have a couple of other newly launched workshops, one around small business and access to capital with our new partners over at TD Bank, two others around, one is retirement planning and the other is estate planning with new partners, Edward Jones, and then another home buyer education course offered through Rockland Trust, as well as our longtime partnerships with Mass Housing, where we do a intro to home buying one, both in English and Spanish. And I am always so happy, again, just to mention our free tax preparation, which I think I'll actually have a solo slide on a bit later. But definitely please check out our services, check out our website that is seen there, and also the QR code links directly. Yeah, so the Boston Tax Hub Coalition, find their link at the bottom there. They are an incredible organization doing free tax preparation of both federal and state tax returns. Our offices are in building. We are, I think I'm about a 30-second walk down from Brian Robinson, who is the acting director of the Boston Tax Help Coalition. We work very closely with them and are proud to say that we are one of the 30 plus locations in Boston that offer this service. So definitely check it out if you're curious and if you meet the requirements. Again, our site is doing 70K or less this year, I believe, depending on where you're located. Definitely check out your local site at their website. Bank on Boston. We are also Happy to have Bank on Boston in suite with us over at 7 Palmer, where we are physically located. We They are a partnership between a national organization, Cities for Financial Empowerment, that promotes safe banking in the city of Boston. So if you check out Bank on Boston, it is a program that's making sure that people get access to non-predatory bank accounts. So bank accounts that have been vetted, that have little to no interest rates, that don't have surprise fees that you can often encounter in the banking space. So an important resource that you should definitely check out. And it's just a really helpful way to, one, be confident when you're looking at certain bank accounts, know that it is not going to harm you in some way, and that you can invest your money in a safe space. This is my contact information. If you are ever curious or you have any questions outside of this meeting here, I can definitely answer them and happy to. I would like to say that I'm noticing that we haven't also mentioned one of our other partner spaces that are in the city of Boston, Boston Saves. Boston Saves is a really cool initiative through the city of Boston where if your child is in K2 to sixth grade, you can get access to a free bank account. I believe it starts out with $50 in that bank account. And then throughout their time in BPS up until 18, when they get the opportunity to either go on to other higher education or just figure their life out at that moment, they get access to that bank account and however much money they accrued during their time in the program. It's incredible. So, again, if you have any young child in BPS from K2 to sixth grade, definitely check out that program. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. But thank you so much for having me. And are there any questions?
So I will ask one. The Palmer Street is your primary location or your only location for your services?
Yes, it is our primary and singular location. We're located right, I believe, a minute's walk from Nubian Station. We're right across from the Boiling Building. If you're familiar with BPS, we are in Roxbury.
And I think I saw this on one of your slides, but would love to say it if it's true to confirm it. Is there a fee for any of your services?
No, we are 100% free. Thank you for highlighting that. We are 100% free, offered through the city of Boston, which is really cool because usually when it comes to financial coaching, you can be charged anywhere from 180 to 250 per session. So it's a really nice offering.
And I know you mentioned that the tax prep is limited to folks who make less than $70,000 a year. What about your other services?
Yes, all of our other services, really the only stipulation specifically for coaching is that you're 18 years or older. You have to be a legal minor. When it comes to our workshops, of course, that's open for anyone. Families can join, little kids too, senior adults. But really, yeah, only stipulation is that you have to have a Massachusetts zip code in order to access our services.
So Massachusetts zip code over 18, everything's free. What a great set of services. That's so wonderful.
Yes.
All right. Well, not seeing any other questions in the chat or a raised Zoom hand, I will repeat boston.gov slash working dash families is a fantastic resource. All of our boston.gov pages have so much information on them. Thank you so much for your time. Any closing words?
Thank you so much for having me. Again, feel free to reach out at any time and have a great rest of your session.
Thanks so much. You as well. This is Andrea again. Thank you again for that presentation. There's some more great resources that exist for folks with disabilities, working folks with disabilities, as our focus is in NDEAM. And so I'd like to invite our next presenter, Adam, to tell us a little bit about something called ABLE.
Thank you so much. I'm going to be jumping right in. I know we have limited time. I'm going to be going fairly quickly. Please take advantage of using the chat or the hand raise function. I will answer as many questions as I can, both during and at the end of the session. And without any further ado, we're just going to jump right into this. So welcome to our discussion of ABLE, or here in Massachusetts, we call it attainable because every state gets to do it a little differently. So I work for MEFA. I am the Director of Attainable Outreach. MEFA is a state authority that was created by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in 1982 to help families plan, save, and pay for college and reach financial goals. Um, and as such, we are the state sponsor for the ABLE Act. The Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience, or ABLE Act, modified the federal tax code in 2014 to add Section 529A. A lot of people are familiar with 529 college savings accounts, which are investment accounts for qualified education expenses. And that's kind of the framework that was used to build ABLE, which are the what are oftentimes establish what are often called ABLE accounts, which are these tax advantage investment accounts for eligible individuals with disabilities to be used for qualified disability expenses while keeping their eligibility for federal public benefits. There have been additional provisions and expansions that have been made to the Act since its adoption, and we're going to be going through a lot of what the current description of ABLE really is. There are 49 active ABLE programs in the United States. They all get different names. Each state gets to do their own. In Massachusetts, the ABLE program is called Attainable. Somebody was clever because you get to attain ABLE. It was not me. Attainable was launched in 2017. MEFA is the state sponsor, and Fidelity Investments is our program manager. So they're the ones who actually hold the accounts and manage the funds. Now, who is eligible for an attainable account? Individuals are eligible for attainable if the onset of disability occurred before the individual turned 26 years old. That is onset, not diagnosis, not how old you are right now. And that, due to the Able Age Adjustment Act, is going up to age 46 on January 1 of 2026. So coming right up here. And that is projected to vastly increase the number of people who will be able to take advantage of this program. The individual should be either eligible to receive SSI or SSDI due to their disability, which should be marked and severe, and self-certified as meeting requirements, essentially indicating that they have functional limitations due to their disability. One thing that can often be utilized is whether or not a person is prevented from working a 40-hour-a-week job due to their disability, but that's not the only criteria. It would also be anything that falls under the compassionate allowances in the Social Security Administration's Blue Book. So that might be a neurological disorder, you're doing in long-term cancer recovery, you have a mental health disorder. There's a wide variety of things that can really make you qualified for ABLE, including if an individual is blind, which is a specific condition that's also listed in the criteria. Funds in attainable accounts are not counted against federal benefits. We're actually going to go into that a little more detail later. Attainable accounts allow the account owner or beneficiary to save above the current $2,000 asset limit. The $2,000 SSI asset limit, the last time that was changed was in 1989, and the disregards haven't been changed since 1972, which is why those numbers are so far behind a lot of the cost of living for a lot of folk right now. With an attainable account, any funds that are put into these investment accounts do not count against that $2,000. You are allowed to still have that $2,000 and not have to follow any of the limitations of the account. But you can also put, if you're ever in danger of needing to do a spend down because you have too much money, or you've got like COVID relief funds, gave a lot of people funds that they weren't expecting that put them over the limit. This would be a place where you could have put those funds instead of trying to find a way to scramble and spend quickly. Family and friends are allowed to contribute to an attainable account, and beneficiaries have relatively immediate access to funds for their needs. I use the word relatively immediate access because it is an investment account. So whenever you want to take money out of the account, you essentially are doing a small investment trade. So it can take 24 hours for that to clear to go over to your bank so that you can then spend the money. They offer a lot, these accounts offer a lot of financial independence, tax benefits, and the ability to save for needs and emergencies without penalties. Qualified disability expenses these are wide categories. So it's anything having to do with health, anything having to do with personal support services, including like legal services, financial services, one-on-one community services, anything like that. Anything transportation. So that could be the ride, that could be an Uber, that could be buying a car. Um, that could be, repairing the wheelchair ramp on your car. Anything involving employment training and supports. Yay, NDEAM. Funeral and burial expenses, assistive technology and related services. So maybe you already own an iPad, but you want to buy an augmentative communication app, which it costs an additional $500 or $600. This would be a place where you could save to purchase that. Anything involving housing. I've got a whole slide just about housing in a moment. Anything involving education. So you can pay for college. You can pay for trade school. You can pay for the tools you need to go to trade school. You can pay for your lab fees. You can pay for your textbooks. All can come out of ABLE. Prevention and wellness expenses and basic daily living expenses, which has been clarified to include any and all food, whether that's McDonald's or the grocery store, wherever you're getting food from, you're allowed to use ABLE funds to pay for it. Just had a little slide about housing. So housing expenses are similar to the household costs for in-kind support and maintenance as far as what you can use it for. So you can use it for rent, including first, last, and security. You can use it to pay for a mortgage. You can buy a house with savings in an ABLE account. You can also pay for any insurance that's required by the mortgage holder. You can pay the real property taxes. Those are the taxes on things that don't leave when you do. So the buildings and the land and such. You can pay for heat, fuel, electricity, internet, water, sewer, utilities, all your bills, garbage. All those things can be paid for out of ABLE. Now, as to who can open these accounts, there is a hierarchy of individuals who can open an ABLE account. Top of that hierarchy is always the individual with the disability themselves. Underneath that is a person with power of attorney, their legal guardian, their spouse, their parent, their sibling, their grandparent, and finally their rep payee, which used to be a purely Social Security designation, but now it can also be used for opening ABLE. Essentially, when you sign up, you're stating that nobody higher than you on the list wants to be the person running the ABLE account. Um, if you're the individual opening it for yourself, you're not going to need to provide any proof of that. You don't need to sign anything. Send in something from someone or whatever. You don't, if you are a power of attorney, Fidelity only accepts a durable power of attorney. If you are a legal guardian, I will tell you one of the big pain points we see for a lot of our guardians who are trying to sign up for these, which is that there is a section on the guardian paperwork which says, when does this expire? And a lot of courthouses leave it blank if the idea is that that's never going to expire. But Fidelity can't accept it with that box being left blank. So it needs to have something in that box saying does not expire. And so if you look at your paperwork from the court and it doesn't have anything in there, you're going to have to go to the court and get a new piece of paper. Otherwise, you're going to send it to Fidelity and they're going to send it back to you. If you have a familial relationship, spouse, parent, sibling, grandparent, you don't need to provide any paperwork proving that relationship. Fraud protections protect the individual with the disability in those instances. Rep pay, you need the SSA documentation, including if you're an entity or an organization that is a rep pay, you need to provide that documentation. Now, contribution limits have increased in 2025, and I'll tell you a secret, we know they're going up again in 2026. But currently, total annual contribution cannot exceed $19,000 if you are not working. If you are working, you get to put more money into an ABLE account per year. The way it works is you can contribute to the lesser of the prior year's poverty guideline, essentially, on top, or your income on top of the $19,000. So currently that's $15,650. So if you're earning, say, like $20,000 a year at your job, you can put the 15,650 on top of the 19,000, so you could put 34,650 each year into your ABLE account, should you so choose. If you're only making 5,000 a year, You can only put the 5,000 in addition to the 19,000 for 24,000 total. So it's the lesser of those two numbers that you can additionally contribute. You cannot contribute this extra amount. You can still contribute the 19,000, but you can't contribute the extra amount if you're participating in a retirement account from your employer. Um, in any state in the nation, you're allowed to have up to $100,000 in an ABLE account before it affects SSI. So instead of 2,000, you can still have the 2,000 and you can have up to $100,000 in ABLE without affecting your benefits. Here in Massachusetts, and this is one of the things that changes state by state, it tends to range between 200,000 and about 700,000, depending on which state. The maximum amount you're allowed to have in the account if you're continuing to contribute to it is $500,000. Once you get to $500,000, the account can still grow from the investments. You just can't be putting your own money into it anymore. Any of that money up to that $100,000 in that before it affects SSI, but any money in an ABLE account doesn't affect housing assistance, including HUD-VASH for veterans, doesn't affect SNAP, doesn't affect FAFSA, Medicare Parts A, B, C, and D, extra help, Medicaid. All those things are not affected by funds that are in an ABLE account. There is no annual account maintenance fee on an ABLE account in Massachusetts. That's not true in every state. There are investment fees because these are investment accounts, and they tend to range from 0.2 to 0.86% of assets, depending on which portfolio you select. Now, before the ABLE Act existed, the thing that a lot of us are very familiar with, individuals are only allowed to have that $2,000 in assets, which is reviewed monthly for all expenses, which meant that savings are discouraged, unexpected income or routine savings could easily exceed the limit, and that would create what we often refer to as a spend down. You got to get rid of some of that money. You've got too much money. You're going to lose your doctor, you're going to lose your housing, you're going to lose your ability to buy groceries because you've got more than $2,000. How dare you? And so this is sort of the problem that ABLE was created to fix. We also, once again, a lot with COVID relief funds did a big hit. We also see somebody getting a big gift from their families on the holidays, hitting that limit. We see people that did some overtime work. There are a lot of different reasons why somebody might go over that limit. And because you need to spend the money on something that isn't an asset, you're not allowed to buy anything that holds value. And if you live in a house with multiple individuals in it, it can't benefit the household. That money has to be spent on you alone. So you can't buy like a nice TV for the living room. It has to be something. So we see a lot of really nice clothing and bedroom sets being bought for spend downs. Instead of those people being able to just save money for, I need to save for a surgery. I want to be able to buy, things I need around the house or whatever, and Able gives you that opportunity. So it provides people with that opportunity to save. Additionally, you can save for your education. Again, tuition, textbooks, assistive technology, one-on-one assistance, trade school, tools for trade school. A lot of things, one of the big cliffs that we see in this community is that people have received supports in high school where anything you needed, someone would say, "Oh, you need this. Let me go find out how we can get that for you." And when you get to out of high school, when you get turned 22, you get into adult services, you go to college, suddenly everything needs to be self-initiated. If you go to college, you got to go to disability services, advocate for yourself, advocate to the professor. If the professor's not doing it, go back to disability services, advocate again. And oftentimes we find that if there is some financial assistance available to you, the ability to save, the ability to buy assistive technology, it can be a big difference maker in the ability for someone to be successful in that higher education, which then, of course, can lead to higher wages, better life outcomes, more life satisfaction, so on and so forth. There are a lot of different other qualified disability expenses examples. Things like, once again, uniforms and job-related training for employment, medical vision or dental expenses, personal assistance, respite care, hearing aids, wheelchairs, braille keyboards. There are so many things that we can use able to be able to save up for and improve people's lives because they're allowed to save. Now, if you want to take money out of your attainable account after you've made it, it's very simple. You're going to transfer it to a bank account and then you can spend it. It is understood that when you do that transfer process, you're not going to be dinged because you went over the $2,000 limit because you took money out of Able to spend it. Just make sure you're keeping track of your receipts. Once funds leave the account, if they're redeposited, they're still going to count towards the annual limit. So in theory, I could take $1, put it into Able, take it out, put it in, take it out, put it in, take it out. And I do that 19,000 times, and I was able to, use up my entire annual limit with $1. There is a IRS rule that any funds that are withdrawn for housing have to be used in the same calendar month that they're withdrawn. So don't take your money out on the 30th to pay your rent on the 1st. Take money out on the 25th and pay it a couple days earlier. No landlord's ever going to be upset about that. I mentioned earlier, because these are an investment trade, give them a day or two to clear, just because I try to identify all the problems as much as I can before things happen. One of the things that we've found can be very helpful to a lot of individuals, but there's no pressure from us to do it, certainly not, is that if you set up a Fidelity cash management account, which is essentially a bank account with Fidelity, at the same time as you set up your investment account, your attainable account with Fidelity, you can then use their app and just drop money back and forth between the accounts. It makes things very simple for folk. You don't have to wait for multiple business days for it to go to another bank. And that does come with a Visa logo debit card. So, you can have that debit card be associated with your bills, drop money down into the CMA, and then use it to pay your bills. Makes things very clean and easy to track also if you have someone in your life who's you're being your financial manager. Um, Bonds cannot be directly rolled over into Able. I put this in here because it's a question I got a couple times. You do need to cash them out, and then you can put the cash into Able. Opening an account is very simple. The first step you can totally skip if you want to, which is I often recommend going to mefa.org/attainable. That's because we try to put out as much information as we can about how to use the accounts, effective ways to be paying attention to, any new updates. So we recommend people take a look at our website before they go full on into opening the account, but you can skip that step if you feel comfortable and you feel like you know what you need to know, where you can just go to fidelity.com/able and then you're going to click, open an account. Um, I do recommend you on that website of fidelity.com/able, you can download the Fidelity Attainable Savings Account disclosure document. It is a very hefty legal document that has all the minutia. You can answer any question you've got about how Able works. Another thing that I often recommend before clicking that open the account button, if you scroll down again on that main page, you will see the 9 portfolio options for your investments. And if you click open account and you don't know that's coming, that can be a place that, oh, I didn't know I'd have to pick my investment strategy. I need to go and talk to somebody before I do this. And so you have to start all over. I try to make sure people don't have to do that. So again, I'm just looking at those before you go through that process. Um, if you are a representative payee, the Social Security Administration requires that you title the ABLE account to show that the payee has a fiduciary interest in the funds and the beneficiary owns the funds but has no access to them. They like the sequence of beneficiary's name by rep payee's name, rep payee, or payee's name, representative payee for beneficiary's name. Got that straight from the Social Security Administration. This is like one of the most important tips I'm going to do in this entire quick training here is this phone number, 844-458-2253, TTY 800-544-0118. If you just Google Fidelity and call the number that comes up, you're going to be lost in the midst of a giant brokerage firm. But if you dial that phone number, you will go straight to the Fidelity trained attainable team. They will be able to answer questions about the account. If you have any problems with your account, that's the number to call. If you have any questions about the account, that's the number to call. Anything having to do with the account, that's the number to call. And that number is on that fidelity.com/able website. Just scroll down a little bit. There's a picture of cell phone with those 2 phone numbers right there. So in case you lose my training, that's where you can find that information. So again, you are going to be able to save in these professionally managed portfolios that are based on what are your goals and your risk tolerance. Essentially, the gradient here is how much in the stock market do you want to be? So we have 9 possible portfolios. They range from an able money market account all the way up to 85% aggressively in the stock market. And we also have short-term annuities. So this is going to be, how much, risk do I want? You are allowed to change your portfolios twice per calendar year, and you don't have to put all of your money in one of these. You can divide it up. So you can say, I want half my money in this conservative income, 20% portfolio. I want half of it at 50%, or you can divide it up as much as you want. So you can break it up among those 9 portfolios any way you want, and you can change that twice per calendar year. Attainable accounts are eligible for direct deposit, including you can make them to designated account for SSI or SSDI, though that does mean that, all of it's going to be there and it's all going to follow both sets of rules at that point. Direct deposit of a paycheck has to stay under the initial $19,000. So if you want to contribute the additional amount, you have to cash your paycheck and put that in yourself. Direct depositing into Attainable is just like any other account. There's a routing number and an account number. Sometimes, because it's an investment account, the number of digits is different than the number of boxes they give you at your workplace. It will work, but you might have to have a conversation with HR. Now you can split up your work income a bunch of different accounts. Some to your credit union, some to your checking account, some to Able, whatever you want. But SSI and SSDI can only go to one account. So if you don't want all of it in Able, all of it's going to have to go into some other account, and then you can put however much of it you want to into Able afterwards. We have created the option for people to have automatic contributions into Able. Uh, the ones that are set up in there are $15 a month or $45 per quarter. That is not necessary. You can open an account with $0. You do not have to put money in every month. You do not have to put a certain amount in at any time. That is just something that we set up in order to hopefully make things easier. It's not supposed to create pressure. When it comes to record keeping, we do like to mention that if you're using conserved benefits, SSI payees are responsible for keeping records on how they spent those conserved benefits. So be sure you're keeping an accurate record of the funds that you're using. So if you are going to mix your Social Security funds with your personal work income in Able, we can't track where dollars came from, right? We can't say, this $300 came from Social Security, and that $300 came from work, and this $300 came from grandma. There's no way we can track that because we don't know whether you cashed out something or not. So you have to make sure that you're tracking if you put $300 from Social Security in there, that when you spend that $300, it's following Social Security's rules. Um, the general rule for Social Security is to keep those records for at least 2 years. I spent over 20 years running residential programming. I know that Quest audits like to go back at least 3, so that's what I said. Um, so if a withdrawal is made for a non-qualified disability expense, remember, there's a lot of things that qualify. So if you decided to buy a bunch of different friends' Xboxes as presents, so it wasn't for you, can't even make the argument that it's for, hand-eye coordination for you. It was a gift of something that was recreational or something. Then you spent the growth on the account. You spent the investment grew because of its investment. You're going to get income tax on the whatever amount of money that came from the investment return, and there might be a 10% ding as well. So that's if you spend it on a non-qualified thing. One thing that I don't think I mentioned earlier is that any growth on these accounts, any investment growth. So if I put $100 a month into these accounts, for instance, for 20 years, if I put it under my mattress, that'd be $24,000. But if I put it into, got like say a 6% return, that'd be a little bit over $42,000 in an investment account. That extra 20 grand, that's really what they're mostly concerned about. That extra, so if you spent that on something recreational for a friend, that would be where you'd get the penalty. Additionally, if you do spend it on qualified disability expenses, there is no income tax on that growth. It is yours to use. There are two circumstances in which you can spend money on a non-qualified, distribution where they won't get mad at you. One is if it is after an individual's death, and the other one is if you're paying the government back because they gave you too much money. Due to the Able Financial Planning Act, provided the beneficiary is the same on both accounts, or one beneficiary is a family member of the other, it is allowable to roll over funds from a 529 college savings account into an Able account without any taxes or penalties. That has recently become permanent. So you'll be able to do that going forward. It does need to still fall under the contribution limit, so you can only roll over the $19,000 per year. Able account holders who meet certain criteria can also receive a saver's credit on their federal taxes for contributions into an Able account. Individuals are eligible if they are 18 or older, not a full-time student, and not claimed as a dependent on another person's tax return. That credit received is currently 10, 20, or 50% of your contributions up to the first $2,000 that you put into Able, and what percentage is based on your adjusted gross income. And that will be increasing to the first 2,100 in 2027. As long as withdrawals are spent on those qualified disability expenses, like I said, any investment growth is federal income tax free. After an individual passes who has an ABLE account, this is my morbid screen, I apologize. The beneficiary or the person with signature authority, the person who is opening and controlling the account, can assign a successor beneficiary, somebody else who's qualified for having an ABLE account, who will receive the account balance in their own attainable account after all actions have been completed. The beneficiary or PSA can also assign someone to receive the funds as part of that individual's estate. But if that person is not able to have an able account, not able to have an attainable account, then those funds are going to have to be removed, of course, from attainable before they can be distributed. And again, this is after all actions have been completed. And I keep saying after all actions have been completed because it's crucial for the scariest sentence in my entire presentation, which is this one right here, which is after the death of the beneficiary, the account will be restricted for 12 months, during which the account is subject to Medicaid recapture from any state where the beneficiary has lived. But this is also after all actions on the account have been completed. So any outstanding ABLE expenses, any qualified disability expenses, can be done first, which means funeral, burial, hospital bills, rent for that, all that can be spent out of ABLE before Medicaid can even take a shot at it. And for most of the folk that I have served, that's going to, because funerals are expensive, that's going to use up anything that's in that account. So I'm not very concerned about the Medicaid recapture in general. I can also say that on a nationwide level, at the moment, and this could be changing as I'm speaking, Medicaid has not been very aggressive about pursuing this. There are almost no cases of them actually seeking to do the recapture. So those are the reasons why, while this is a very scary sentence for a lot of folk, it is less of a worry than I believe it makes itself out to be, given those circumstances and contexts. Another thing that we like people to be aware of is that MEFA has teamed up with Gift of College, which giftofcollege.com. So you can go to your local CVS or wherever, Cumberland Farm, Stop and Shop, and you can buy gift cards that can go to your 529 college savings account, but it can also go into your attainable account. You can also go on giftofcollege.com and buy one of these online to send if you're like living in another state or whatever. And the great strength of this is that a person is never holding cash. So again, it's a defense against having more assets, even briefly, even momentarily, against that $2,000 asset limit. Because if I give you a $250 gift card that can only go directly into your attainable account, you never had that $250 in cash to be counted against your $2,000 asset limit. So this can be a really good workaround for being able to say, I wanted to help you with your bills. I wanted you to have a little money for at the holidays to make sure that you were able to have a nice Christmas dinner, anything like that. This is a good way to make those programs work together. ABLE is a fantastic program. It's nationwide. There's a lot of information out there. We try to put out a lot of our own over at mefa.org/attainable. There's the ABLE National Resource Able Center at ablenrc.org. They do fantastic webinars of their own. Fidelity has great information. The Social Security Administration, for some reason, some people think they're our adversaries. They actually are our best friends because we make them not have to chase people about spend downs. They don't like doing that, and they really like this opportunity. So they put out a lot of good information too. And we do also have an email sign up, which we'll distribute when you get all the otherwise slides if you want to receive information in general. We also have an upcoming conference on December 4th for financial resources and disability in Massachusetts. We'll talk about ABLE. You'll see a lot of the same information. We also have an expert on SSI and SSDI. We have an expert on special needs trusts. We have an expert on special needs financial planning long term. We have someone who comes in from the college system to talk about working around the financial limitations and challenges in disability services. And we do a whole day training that's for free. We'll give you a nice lunch over in Worcester on December 4th, and you can that's available on MEFA.org as well to register for that conference. That all being said, please check us out on social media, and if you have any questions that I don't answer today, attainable at MEFA.org. Happy to do it. Call us 800-449-MEFA. I will answer any question I can as fast as I can. And that all being said, came in under the line. I did it, Andrea.
Hey, Adam. Yeah, this is Andrea again. I appreciate you keeping that eye on the clock. I know folks were scheduled only to be here till 7. Um, that is a lot of information, a lot of wonderful information. I will repeat that we are sending out the slides. If you registered with your email address, we will be shooting you an email. And maybe just one last time, in case anyone didn't write it down, what's that phone number, Adam, if people have questions?
Um, for the phone number to go directly to for us is going to be 800-449-6332, which is 800-449 MEFA. And I will be happy to, it will go to an answering service. It will be sent over to me, and then I'll call you back.
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Goodness, are there any questions? As a reminder, folks, you can put a question in the chat, use the Zoom raise hand function, turn on your camera and wave at the camera. I will see you wave. Any questions at all?
I take it actually as a compliment when there's no questions because it meant that I put all the information in the presentation.
That is, I also feel that way at times. Maybe one way to reiterate one other piece of information you gave, I'll ask you the same question as Antonia. Is there a fee to call you and ask questions? You mentioned investment fees. Are there monthly maintenance investment fees? How does this cost money?
So there's no cost to talk to me. There's no cost to talk to Fidelity. Once again, there are no monthly account fees for ABLE in Massachusetts. Again, you're allowed to open an ABLE account in any state in the country, no matter where you live. So if you really like California's program, go for it. Ohio, wherever you like. Some of them do have annual fees on their account. Some of them don't. It depends on sort of what the program offers and how it operates. There is investment fees based on the portfolios you select, but the those fees tend to be significantly less than the investment return. So historically, do not come at me if the stock market does something different tomorrow. I am I'm not a stock market expert. But historically, the like that mid-range portfolios have around like that 6% return. So even if we had the highest portfolio like fee that I said, which was the 0.84%, okay, so you're getting a 5 point, 14, return instead of a 6% return. You're usually people usually end up significantly more ahead than behind due to those fees.
An excellent clarification. Thank you for that. One final thing I'll mention I see a raised hand. Give me 1 second to send you a request to unmute.
Hi, I just had a question about the sentence that you said was pretty scary about the Medicare.
Yeah.
Is it scary because it means that Medicare can basically garnish whatever they think you owe them, or what does that mean?
The fear that I hear, and it's a real one, is that Medicaid can say, and it's only post premiums, just to be clear here, that okay, you spent X number of dollars using our services. We would like to be paid back for that. They can't take your personal funds. It would only be money that came from like Social Security and was put into Able, or any money that was enabled to because these are tax advantaged accounts. They're essentially saying they can request to have be paid back for those services. But again, that would require there to be money in Able at that point. So if you have spent all the money in Able on the person's rent, their hospital bills, their funeral, their burial, and all those things, then there's nothing for them to ask for. So that's the reason why I'm not incredibly concerned about that stipulation.
And this is Andrew at the Disabilities Commission. I'm going to drop a link in the chat that has a little bit more specific information about what this looks like in Massachusetts. So, as Adam mentioned, it's only related to Medicaid, not Medicare. So, in Massachusetts, that's called Mass Health. And it's basically as Adam said, if there are funds left in a couple of different ways, the state in some cases is required to recover some of that funds under federal law, but is not required to go above that. And it's basically, yes, they want to recover some of the funds, specific funds that were used as a Mass Health member. Um, I can certainly follow up if you have more questions, and point you in the direction of folks who work on Mass Health estate recovery. But again, that's only if there's any money left. So if you spend it all on your housing and your school and buying uniforms for work, they won't garnish your future wages to pay back a family member's debt. It's not debt.
And one of the nice things about Able is Able also works really well in conjunction with other programs. So, like, if an individual has a special needs trust and you have varied expenses every month, and so it's hard for the because you keep on having to put in a different request through the attorney to get a different amount from the trust to cover those expenses. If instead it's like, okay, every month automatic distribution from the trust of $2,000 gets dropped into my Able account because I know that my bills are going to be somewhere between, 1,800 and $2,000 or so. And so then you're able to cover the bills with the money that came from the special needs trust, and the excess funds don't harm you because you again don't have that cash in a place that counts negatively against federal benefits because it's enabled. It also does a really clear way that can avoid audits when it comes to things like in-kind support and maintenance. Because if you are paying directly out of Able to for your portion of bills, you have a really clear line of my account, my money is paying my part of electric, my part of water, my part of garbage, my part of rent. And so it's not, oh yeah, no, my child pays me back and it's about $600. That's where you get a lot of the audits come up. But instead, if you're saying no, he directly pays their part, that demonstrates that in-kind support and maintenance, and it can make the whole system work a lot cleaner.
This is Andrea. Maybe one final question. I know you are not a financial advisor, or at least I believe you are not.
I am not.
Um, are there staff at MEFA or Fidelity who help you think about those things you were just
Yes.
mentioning, how it
There,
relates
there,
to?
when there are a lot of financial advisors out there, they do not have to be directly affiliated with us to. So if you have a registered investment advisor, a financial advisor that you work with and trust, you can certainly work with them and have them help you set up your Able account as you will. And there are, of course, qualified individuals and wealth advisors at Fidelity who specialize in that as well. But if you want someone from the outside, that's also absolutely acceptable and that can be very beneficial for some individuals.
Wonderful. I just want to make sure to ask that question because, as you've said, you've given lots of examples tonight, but everyone's situation is different, and there is one-on-one advice available to help figure out how ABLE works for you, if it works for you, between MEFA and Fidelity. Please feel free to reach out to them. And again, for sort of general financial advice, financial coaching, the City of Boston Center for Working Family, they can give you general advice, including on savings. They know about the ABLE accounts. They know that it's an option. They won't help you set them up or tell you how to connect it to your special needs trust. That's what MEFA and Fidelity do. But you can certainly mention it if you meet with a financial coach at the City of Boston. And that's part of why we bring everyone together in this webinar, so that you know about all the tools available to you to meet your financial goals and have financial wellness for your family of one, of two, of four, of 10. We want everyone in the city of Boston to have those financial wellness goals met. So thank you for joining tonight. Thank you again to our presenters from the Center for Working Families, the Massachusetts Educational Financing Authority. We really appreciate your time. We thank you for being here, attendees, and we will be in touch with links and slides and more information in the coming days. Thank you so much.